Okay, we're here today with Pulse of the Parish podcast with the St. Bernard Chamber of Commerce, and we are going to be discussing family business. Second generation, all of us are, part of a second generation family business. I believe that there's a lot of family businesses in St. Bernard, so it's relevant to hear, the opportunities and the struggles and the different challenges that being part of a family business can bring. So we wanted to kind of get in here today and discuss with, a couple of different varieties of family business with different setups and structures, and see some of the things we have in common, some of the differences we have, and hopefully we can all learn some from each other, and hopefully improve the way that we or you are doing things in our businesses. So I'm Carrie Calais. Our business is Calais Ice Service. We have been in business for about 30 years. I have been with the company, which I just realized the other day, it'll be 20 years next year, which makes me feel really old. But, so a long time with the company, and of course growing up with it before that, but, full time for the last 20 years. We are a wholesale ice production company. We make about 250 tons of ice a day right here in Chalmette in the St. Bernard Port, and distribute to about 300 locations across the metro area. My dad is still a part of our company, and me and my brother and my sister actually all are part of running the company and work at the company still. So I run the financial end, the office end. My brother runs the plant and the delivery end, and my sister actually works for us too, doing basically a jack of all trades. She'll drive a truck. She'll happier if she's on the road somewhere, getting dirty and being in the mechanical side of it. So we're all lucky to be able to work together, and of course have the challenges that brings too. Do y'all want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Jessica Reeve, and my family business is Brewster's. It's a restaurant and bar. We have been in business for 36 years now, so older than I am. And I am actually about to make 10 years in a few weeks at my position, which, seems like just yesterday, but somehow longer than 10 years at the same time. It's definitely been a wild ride. My dad actually was the one who opened it. He and a partner opened it 36 years ago. Prior to Katrina, it was mostly a bar, but my dad stayed for Katrina and started right away cleaning everything up, getting it back together, and he just realized that it would be more lucrative to have it as a restaurant, and that's where we could really make it as a business. So we kind of just went in that route, and he and my stepmom did a lot of the work to redo it after Katrina. He is still involved more in the back end of things. He comes in, pops in here and there, but it's mostly on me now doing most of the day-to-day work. So it's been a wild ride. I'll say that.
My name is Mindy Nunez Earhart, and I own Southern Services and Equipment. We're a steel fabrication contractor in Lower St. Bernard, off of Bayou Road. And we've been in business for 26 years now. I've been working there since I got out of college, so a little less than 20 years. So I purchased the business from my parents in 2018. So they are completely retired and not involved in the business anymore. And I run the business with my husband, Justin. I deal mostly with the administrative end of things, insurance, financial aspects, and my husband is he oversees the production facility of all the steel that's processed in our plant.
So I think there's a lot of things that inheriting a small business or taking over a small business or being a part of a multi-generational business. There's a lot of things that I think they have in common, but there are a lot of ways that they're different. And a lot of that, I think, is moving through, like, progressing in that business, as far as technology goes, as far as, updating or just, evolving as businesses do, but adding in that multi-generational aspect. I think there's a lot of good things that brings about. I think there's, the aspect of, having somebody to come in and take over and continue, but there's also challenges of, not wanting to progress as fast as, a second generation may want to. And I mean, I know we've all seen different sides of that.
It's a balance. It's a balance between, a lot of times the second generation will want to make a lot of improvements that are resisted by the first generation. And I think sometimes that's a good thing, because you have to realize that first generation has the experience, the knowledge, they've seen market conditions that maybe the second generation hasn't seen. They've just been through more, but all businesses have to evolve or they will fail.
Okay.
So it's a delicate balance of, how much how much change, does each side allow.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I know, some businesses, like maybe the restaurant business, may be more static as far as, I'm sure you have some technology changes, but in general, your model is not changing drastically.
Right.
Whereas, our company was started in my dad's backyard. So literally, he would get up in the morning and go outside and bag ice. By hand, with a scoop with my grandfather. So, going from that to where we are today, which, we just went through automation process in our plant, and a lot due to COVID, which I'm sure you can speak to, on employee issues and seeing, how devastating it can be to a company to not be able to get the employees that they need. We thought, automating as much of our process as we could would be, a smart investment. So you walk into our plant now, and we're on 40,000 square foot in the St. Bernard Port, and nobody touches a bag of ice until it goes onto the truck. They're machinery that will, makes the ice, stores the ice, moves the ice, puts it into the bag, ties the bag, brings it onto the pallet, wraps the pallet, and not until then does somebody actually come grab the pallet and pull it out. Whereas I said my dad started with, literally a scoop and an ice machine, 30 years ago. And of course there's been many of steps, between there and now. And, he couldn't have dreamed of being able to do that or
Right.
trying to do that back then. But, conditions in the market just move you in a different direction.
I definitely had that. We got lucky, I will say. I hope my dad would agree. Because we had this old point of sale system, and it was just, I was on the phone with the people all the time. We just had issues with it. We needed to upgrade it. And I had a little resistance with it, and I finally convinced him. October 2019. We had the handhelds. We had this new system on the cloud and everything. So it took a little adjusting for the employees, too, because we had been on these old registers pretty much. That was a computer that just had a point of sale system on it instead of being a fully integrated point of sale system. And that saved us during the pandemic, because then we could immediately switch over to bringing out handhelds to cars, telling people we're doing curbside. It made it, not an easy transition by any means, but having that system already in place that he wasn't really sure of made it to where we could just go into the pandemic and say, after I heard the news, all right, well, we're going to do curbside. That's what's going to happen. We're going to bring the handhelds to your car. We're going to sanitize them after every time, but at least we had extra handhelds, so we had more for each server to have their own and that kind of thing. That helped us tremendously. Once, I didn't even imagine that I would need it for those reasons, but it has helped so much just making that change.
Mm-hmm. That probably saved your business, right? Because there were so many restaurants, especially small restaurants, that went under during the pandemic because they
Right.
couldn't figure out the takeout model, right?
Yeah, and I'll say we're lucky too, because obviously our location, we're located in the center of Chalmette on Judge Perez. We have the huge parking lot, so it really allowed us to have that takeout, curbside model done quickly and efficiently, whereas some other restaurants just don't have the space for that. So we got really lucky in that situation, but having that new technology really made it easier. We have the screens in the kitchen, so now they love it. As soon as a ticket comes by, the cook can see it. You don't even have to go pull a ticket. It's there. So it's just been a lot smoother for everybody.
Right, right. In our case, we probably installed our biggest and most innovative piece of technology prior to COVID. That was our Pythonx Machine, which is it's a large-scale 6-axis plasma machine, and that allows certainly it allows the steel to be processed with less human interaction, but it didn't really lead to a decrease in jobs, which a lot of people thought, oh, well, they're getting this, they're getting this automated piece of equipment, we're going to lose our jobs. What it actually did was enable more steel to be put through the facility, which created more jobs for welders and fitters to, make the custom weldment after the fact. And that was a large investment for us. That was $1 million investment for us, and then subsequently we installed another $1 million machine a couple of years after that, and we've just been keeping up with steel processing technology. We've also got to we started doing automated time tracking. So you punch in, you clock in on your phone. There's no more of those, old punch card systems, those old time card systems.
I still have that, so.
Yeah.
Not that old.
Well, for us, each individual employee tracks what project they're working on. So when they are, say they go from project A to project B, when they go to project B, they pull out their smartphone and they change the project in their time card software.
Right.
So that's one.
When
piece.
you're matching charges to certain jobs, I assume that helps a lot. You know, I mean,
exactly. Exactly. That way you have in real time how much cost is on each project.
Right.
So most of those, when my parents were here, they were supportive of the changes in technology, but it's hard. It's hard when you you have that one foot out the door of retirement and people are trying to change things on you. It can be tough, but they were generally supportive, and now we've switched to a barcode system to track each individual piece of steel. So that's new. There's handheld scanners that track where each piece of steel is in the process. So yeah, we've embraced technology, but I think that you have to do that to stay relevant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the good things, one of the positives I think about family business is, my dad is still the owner of the business. Me and my brother are managing partners of the business. So we have him around, or when he tries to do his thing and live retired life as much as he can or wants to. But we still have him around for that knowledge or for that help when we need it. When we get into a hurricane situation, or just like this past weekend when it's hot and the weather's great and it's beautiful outside and everybody decides they need ice at one time and shrimp season kicks in as well. We can call him and say, hey, we need you here. Can you come on and give us a hand? And so it's nice to have that. And if you go to my plant right now, you will see my nephew bagging ice, for his first summer job, and my office has 4 other kids, including 2 of my own in it.
Definition of family business.
Right. So, it's the babysitting office, as well as we're trying to get them to sweep floors and things like that because, they need something to do all summer. But, it's good and it's bad, right? It brings the challenges of, me trying to kill them all because I'm trying to do paperwork and they're loud. But also, it allows us to be flexible. It allows us to have, our kids with us, during the summer and spend time with them. And it allows us to be together as a family, too, even though, we want to kill each other sometimes as well. But, and there's issues with, when it's all family, if we want to go on vacation, like who's there running the ship,
Yeah,
and
run
you
into
know,
that
if we're,
problem,
you
yeah.
know, okay, us two are going this time, and then y'all two can go, you know, next time. So, you know, there's challenges and opportunities, I think, on both sides.
Right. My brother-in-law works for us also, so, and we all go on vacation every year. So every summer, that's 3 key employees that are gone at the same time. So we just have to make sure that no one else, you know, gets to take vacation at that time.
Yeah, we've had that before. We all went on a family cruise, and it was like, is this going to be okay? Can we do this? We made it work.
Yep.
We have a lot of good employees, so we've
Yep.
been really lucky, but you still keep thinking, like, wait, does one of us need to be there?
Yeah. Who's going to sign the checks?
Who's gonna do this? Who's gonna do that? And, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our kitchen manager who, even though he's not my real, you know, blood family, he's been with us since before Katrina too. He has tons of kitchen experience, and he is actually the one who runs the kitchen. So he's amazing. I don't know what I would do without him, because he knows a lot more than I do in that aspect for sure, and he's very helpful with advice and stuff like that, because he's worked at other restaurants prior to Brewster's. So sometimes I'm like, what do I do about this? And he's like, well, let's just do this. I'm like, oh, something I would never think of or didn't even know would be an option. And it's like having a family member, even though they're not your blood family, but somebody you've been with for so long, is so helpful with that experience too.
Yeah, I have my controller Bonnie's been with us for 16 years now. So, and there's you know, welders that have been there for decades. Most of my key employees are actually pretty close to our age, but everybody just brings a wealth of experience from working other places, and I think all 3 of us have that in common. We've never worked at another.
Right.
I've worked at another business, but I've never worked at another construction company. Right.
Right.
So that is actually, I think, a real disadvantage. You know, if my children decided to follow me into this industry, I would ask that
You would
they
tell
go
them to
work.
run
I
first,
would,
right?
First, I would tell them to run. But
I'd tell mine off.
if they
I'll just pick up.
insisted, I would go make them work at other construction companies and see how it's done elsewhere, because I didn't have that. I didn't have that opportunity, and I think that really, it would have brought a lot to my you know, to my business.
I think about that sometimes too. I've even thought about when my dad was more involved, going and working at like a chain
Right.
or a corporate restaurant,
Yeah.
to just see kind of what
how it
they
is.
go through there day to day, because, you know, they are handbooks, by the book, this and that, whereas a one location small business, you might not have the same capacity to be able to do what they can do, but you can still get the ideas and,
Right.
you know, maybe see things that would work better for you. Obviously, I never did that. But
It was a good idea,
Yeah,
though.
it was a good idea that I had.
There's still time.
There's still time. That's true.
So, you know, I know there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to family business. I know people always think you're extremely wealthy, which I've missed that part so far, but I'm hopeful still
Yes.
that it's coming. You know, but you know, there's just different ways that family businesses are handled, and I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it. You know, I mean, I know, you know, my dad is still owner of the business. He doesn't have any intent on, you know, changing that at any point in time. It works for us. You know, he stays on, and we're, as managing partners, running it, and all stay, you know, as employees of the business, and that works for us. I know you had a little bit of a different situation, Mindy, where y'all, you know, decided to make a complete shift.
Right, right. Yeah, in 2018, we decided that we would transfer the ownership from my parents to me. So I own the company 100%, and because, you know, there's loans involved, there's mortgages involved. It was a very complex process. We had to find a lender who, you know, who would be willing to, you know, finance the transaction, which was not particularly easy because it was a large transaction. So once we found the lender, then we had to, you know, we paid a law firm to make sure that everything was done by the books. Because, you know, one day I may want to sell this business to another person. So we paid a law firm quite a lot of money to make sure that everything was done, legally and by the book. So, a lot of people think that I inherited this business or that they gave it to me for free, but actually I've paid fair market value for it. And so, in time, I hope to pay off those loans, and then, and then we'll go from there. But I do get a lot of people who think that I was just, handed this on a silver platter, but unfortunately that was not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's a lot of misconceptions a lot of times when you're in family business, and that it's easy, and that, you often think, that it's just given to you, and it's given to you with a lot of hard work with, with it.
With a lot of
responsibility.
Right?
So, I know when we were kids, it was expected of us to be a part of it. And, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I was given that work ethic growing up. And I hope to pass that work ethic to my kids, just like I said with my nephew, and hopefully my girls will, work there and then find a different path. Find a different path
go work
soon
somewhere
else. But, it's just part of, figuring out each business and each family and how that works, I think.
Right.
Are you going to stay forever? Jessica,
I don't know about forever, Carrie, but my dad, like I said, he is somewhat involved still in the back end of things and pops in every once in a while. He's looking to retire, so the next step would be me buying the business. We've kind of talked about it. Then COVID happened, and then it was more of like, let's survive mode, which thankfully we were able to do. So conversation has started back up. And then we'll just go through that process. We, same as Mindy, have reached out to a few people that have kind of gone through the process, particularly with restaurants. You have your liquor license, you have your Joker Poker license, you have so many licenses that we need to make sure can all transfer together and that kind of thing to where there's no lapse. So we want to make sure we get all that together before we really get going. And so once we can kind of see that process out, we'll do it.
Yeah. I think that's something that small businesses, especially family businesses, struggle with is, you just want to do things, right? You just want to we're just going to do that. And a lot of times you don't look at the, the legal or the accounting or, you can't, at some point your business transitions from a mom and pop sort of business to, okay, we're a corporation and we have to run it that way. We have to make sure that the legality is there. We have to make sure that, the finances and the accounting are handled correctly. And I think that's a tough situation for a lot of small businesses moving from, that truly mom and pop or, truly small, one or two person business onto a corporation. I think there's some landmines there that, some people fall into because they don't, treat it as, a true company.
And I don't think people they don't know what they have to do to make all these changes. But every year you have all these licenses and permits. You have to change all of those over, and you have to make sure you're changing them over together, but then not together, because some of them you need to have done before the other ones. So it's a little like, wait, if the Board of Health comes today, but then the ATC comes tomorrow, and then, wait, we need so you kind of have to have them aligned, but some have to be done before others, and you have to get with all these other organizations to make sure you can get this permit or this done, and what you need done.
There's no guidebook for it, right? There's no checklist.
Well, luckily we have organizations, insert shameless plug here, like the St. Bernard Chamber of Commerce, Grow St. Bernard, or different programs like that will help hopefully these businesses. I know there's a few initiatives starting now that will give you kind of that, how do I handle accounting, or, so, I would definitely recommend people reaching out that are in similar situations to, their business development or, EDF or St. Bernard Chamber or whoever that might be in your community to be able to, connect with other people who have gone through the process, or to, go to a class or go to, something that'll show you how to, handle that properly instead of, just trying to figure it out on your own, like, we've probably done along the way.
Like my dad absolutely did that. He did, yeah.
Yeah, the chamber has a lot of resources for small businesses. So if you are not on the mailing list for the St. Bernard Chamber, get on it because there are classes, there are seminars, there are workshops, and they happen all the time. And each one of them, is going to add to that little bit of knowledge that you need to run your business successfully.
The chamber is actually going to be having a professional development event, and it's going to be on financial literacy. They had one a couple weeks ago at another restaurant, the Family Cajun Kitchen, and so this is just a series going along to kind of build on each other to see what you could do in your business financially, because that's something that a lot of business owners struggle with, and a lot of just individuals struggle with as well.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of times, you open a restaurant or a similar business like that, and you may be really great at what you do, but you don't want to do the business side of business, right? And I don't want to most of the time.
Yeah, no.
But
QuickBooks is not my favorite thing.
Right, but it's important, and I think that's where a lot of businesses fail is they don't handle the business side of their business. So, you have to have either somebody that's willing to handle that part of the business, or you have to learn how to, balance that with whatever your passion is or whatever you're actually, enjoying, hopefully, doing in your business.
Which is opposite for me because I can't really cook. So, ironic. Here we are.
Well, look,
Good thing I didn't open up because I could cook.
I cannot weld anything either, okay?
Well, I thank y'all for having this conversation today, and I hope that we were able to, shed some light on maybe some questions that people have, or, hopefully people have had similar opportunities or paths and can, learn a little bit from our mistakes, and hopefully we can too, and continue on, maybe future generations, right? To take it and make it, even bigger and even better than it was before. So thank you all for joining us today and sharing your experiences and knowledge, and we'll be back soon with another podcast.
Yeah, thanks.